All right, what's up, guys? Today we have a new video. We have a brand new event. It's called Legend Chronicle. It's supposed to be like, the early sets, all of the Yugi, Kaiba, stuff like that, Joey, all of the early sets basically of Yu-Gi-Oh! And all of the TV show decks, Slifer the Sky Dragon, stuff like that. It's the ban list is massive. We'll see how fun it actually is, but obviously, we've got some of the best decks here, the 5 best decks that I could come up with. Obviously, it's day one. If there are some things that slip through the cracks that you notice that are really, really good, let me know in the comment section down below. But these are the decks that I think are going to be really good. So right here we have, this is the budget deck. It's Suships. Suships once again survived. I think the algorithm that decides which decks get banned and which decks don't get banned doesn't look at stuff that are like SRs and like SRs and below, so they don't really worry about that stuff as much. So Suship continues to slip through the cracks, which is awesome. It's a rank 4 deck. It's very easy to play. Basically, yeah, you just rank 4, and they have some pretty cool effects. They have some strong monsters, as you can see here. And the best one, of course, being the this one, the Uni class. But yeah, it's a good deck, loaded up with trap cards, basically some of the normal searching. Rescue Rabbit's only at 1. As far as the extra deck goes, actually I shouldn't even be playing this. As far as the extra deck goes, you have some of the rank 4 package available to you, but not everything. But just the Suship cards alone are actually quite nice, and then you've got some of the rank 5s. But yeah, this is basically the deck. This is like budget Suships. This is the cheapest deck you could possibly make. It's essentially, the main deck is all SRs, except for staples that you probably already own anyway. And then as far as the extra deck, they're like stuff like this that are good for other decks. So if you craft them, it's not the biggest deal in the world, because you can actually use them in other decks regardless. So this is the first deck. It is Suships. All right, the next deck, unsurprisingly, is Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is probably going to be the best deck in the entire event. The Dark Magician obviously is very good too. It just depends on which staples they hit for both decks. So yeah, obviously this is Blue Eyes. It's not a complete full power because there's a lot of stuff that got hit, because Blue Eyes does play a lot of non-Blue Eyes cards. Like all the Dangers, for example, got hit. A lot of cards actually did get hit. But yeah, obviously it's a very good deck. It's almost at full power. All of the actual like archetypal Blue Eyes cards are at full power. The things that are missing are, like I said, just hand traps are missing. Stuff like hand traps are missing. Dangers are missing. Dangers are really good in Blue Eyes. The monster that they use the most, which is Draglubion, is actually missing, which is really frustrating because you can't go into the number 100. You can't go into the Hard Earth Dragon. Like, you can't go into any of that stuff since that is missing. But a lot of the Blue Eyes stuff is still available. This is like a very, very pure build. Personally, I don't know which build exactly of Blue Eyes is going to be the best. I don't know if it's going to be the trap build. Again, a lot of floodgates are banned. A lot of floodgates are banned, so you can't even use a lot of the really, really good trap cards. So we'll see. I mean, it could be the case that the trap Blue Eyes deck is still the best, despite being hit so strong on the ban list. But this is like a very, very pure version of the deck. All right, next we've got another deck that just absolutely slipped through the cracks. We have Cosmos. I actually can't believe this deck slipped through. It's obviously a very, very strong deck. It's the only thing that really got hit on the deck is the exclusion of 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Other than that, the deck is literally at full power. And if you recall, when Cosmos were in their absolute prime and just came out, the deck actually only had 1 Emergency Teleport anyway, so the deck isn't really like that much. It's basically just sent back into basically 2016, 2017 when the deck actually came out. The deck doesn't even use an extra deck, and you don't have Extravagance or Prosperity, so I guess that is to a certain degree a hit. But this deck is really, really strong. Like, it's got all of the ships are fully legal, Destroyer, literally everything, even Eclipser. It's 1 UR that isn't even completely mandatory. It's a 1 single UR is still here. Like, this deck is essentially at it's just the Farm Girl and the Dark Eclipse are the only 2 URs in the entire archetype. And also, on a side note, this hand trap Ghost Mourner is actually fully legal, so if you want to use it for this event, it's a perfect time to use it if you happen to pull it in something else. Again, the extra deck is not necessary. This is probably one of the other really, really good budget decks, because you only need 3 main deck URs that are kind of like existing ones, and you don't even need the Dark Eclipser, to be honest with you. I've played without it. It's not totally necessary, but you do need the Farm Girl. That you do actually need. So in reality, it's like 2 main deck URs, maybe 3 if you're playing 3 copies. Just kind of impressive. Probably the best budget deck, because again, you just the extra deck is this is all nothing. This could be literally I could remove all of this and it doesn't affect the deck whatsoever. It is a deck that doesn't need an extra deck. So this is another deck that's really strong in this event. Alright, the next deck we've got here is Paleozoics. This deck, despite losing Totally Awesome, actually didn't really get hit. Everything is basically at 3. You lost some of the floodgates, but honestly, Paleozoics never really played floodgates anyway, because it's just never been the playstyle of Paleozoics. But every card is basically at 3. Obviously, you lose like things like Impermanence and Trap Trick, but those cards weren't completely necessary. This is the one floodgate that's legal in the format. It's lose 1 turn, which is special summon monsters have their effects negated for that turn. But other than that, the deck is essentially 100% at full power, other than losing Totally Awesome, which is completely unaffiliated anyway. But what is cool about this deck is you can basically play the Trap deck and then wait for Scapegoats, which Scapegoats is at 3. You can just flip Scapegoats on your opponent's turn, and then during your turn, you can go into any of the really good Link 4s, and then basically OTK your opponent that way, which is really good. Yeah, this is it's kind of awesome. A lot of really cool options with Paleozoic Frogs. I'm almost shocked that the deck is essentially at full power, which is actually kind of nice, since it's unplayable outside of this event anyway. So this is the next deck that's actually kind of good and kind of competitive. All right, next up we've got DDD. This deck is actually really good. It's a very high skilled deck, and it is at essentially full power. These, by the way, are more hand traps that you can play. DD Crow and Effect Veiler. I think DD Crow is definitely going to be a very strong one in this one, just because there's a lot of graveyard effects, including like if Blue Eyes is definitely going to be one of the better decks and definitely one of the more represented decks. So you definitely want to play an effect. You definitely want to play the DD Crow for the Blue Eyes deck. And then DD Griffin is the only card that is limited to 1. Other than that, the deck is like totally unhit and is like irrelevant. All of the dark contracts are available that you would want to play. Yeah, every single DDD card is essentially at full power. Perry Reeves map is important, such as the level 0 map, level 0 monster, dark contract. Yeah, the deck is essentially at full power. You can make a crazy board with this deck. Again, it's just, this is one that if you don't know how to play it, maybe this is the opportunity for you to play, because there's not a lot of pressure. You're not playing ranked, but definitely DDD is definitely a deck worth trying out. Like I said, there's great combos available on YouTube for this deck. It is going to be a higher skilled deck, but again, it's not the end of the world, because you can it's a consequence-free event where you can learn to play this deck and not have to worry about losing your rank or anything like that. It's a very fun and easy way to actually learn how to play this deck. Alright, so the last deck that I have for you guys is Dark Magician. This one is a little bit converted. It's more of a fusion build. I intend to make a deck profile about like the really good Link one that's very competitive, but this is the fusion version of the deck. It basically relies on summoning, like I said, a lot of the fusion monsters, plays Eye of Timaeus, fusion deployment, gets Dark Magician out onto the field very easily. It loops like Magical Circle, Dark Piercing. Yeah, it's a very cool version of the deck. It's more of like an anime version, but this one is fully legal for this. And of course, we've got the legal hand traps, which are Effect Veiler. This could be replaced with DD Crow if you're trying to save some UR dust. Lose 1 turn is very strong. And then over here for the extra deck, again, you have access to all of this stuff, which is really cool. You get to play Eye of Timaeus, which, I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of fun, right? Being able to use Eye of Timaeus, having almost a little bit of an anime duel. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Blue Eyes versus Dark Magician matchups going on in this event. But this is the last deck that I think is going to be very strong. Again, this is a very strong fusion-based spellcaster deck. I'm sure you've seen Yugi play it a million times. But that is it. Those are the decks that I think are the best decks in this event, the ones that slip through the cracks. And thank you for watching, and have a great day. La, 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 la.